With NBC's Lester Holt moderating the debate here at Hofstra University tomorrow night, followed by CNN's Anderson Cooper and ABC's Martha Raddatz in the second debate, and Fox's Chris Wallace in the third debate, Donald Trump has ratcheted up his attacks on the anchors. Trump told me last week that all the moderators will be unfair in his view to avoid the kind of media bashing that Matt Lauer endured for being portrayed as too soft on Trump. And here's what Trump and Bill O'Reilly said this week.
The next debate, you have Martha Raddatz at ABC, who I work with in Boston, a brilliant journalist, but she's a Democrat. And then Anderson Cooper, I think he does a decent job over there, but he's a Democrat. Okay, so you got two Democrats, and you don't. And are you showing up for that, or what are you going to do?
And by the way, Lester's a Democrat. Look,
I didn't know
it's a phony system. Lester's a Democrat. I mean, they're all Democrats. Okay, it's a very unfair system. I'm not okay with Anderson Cooper because I think he treats me very unfairly at CNN.
Joining us now is Joe Concha, media reporter for The Hill. So, all right, Lester Holt is a registered Republican. What does Trump gain by accusing all the moderators in advance of being unfair?
I think he's been listening to his friend Bobby Knight, the legendary basketball coach, gaming the refs. I think that's all a matter of what
he brought up Bobby Knight to me.
He did, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it. I think Lester Holt's going to call a fair game, Howie. Obviously, his body of work proves that. Here's the thing, though. If you asked me that question in 2012 about Candy Crawley, I would have said her body of work is great, and I don't anticipate her causing any problems or being the story afterwards either. And remember what happened. She fact-checked on the fly.
Right.
Mitt Romney was neutered, basically. It changed the dynamic, you can argue, for that debate and the election going forward. And as a result, Crowley goes on an interview afterwards and says, oh, no, actually, Mitt Romney was right in the main. I made a mistake. So we have to watch out for that tomorrow night.
These are all experienced professional anchors, but are they under some pressure to avoid the kind of skewering that Lauer got in the wake of that NBC forum where a lot of critics on the left said he was hard on Hillary, easy on Donald?
It would have to depend on if Lester Holt is going to be intimidated by outside forces, which I don't think he will be. You know, Matt Lauer called, I thought, a very good forum then. But as we've seen, you do. But as you've seen with Megyn Kelly during her network interview with Donald Trump, or with Lauer during that commander-in-chief forum, anything short of throwing a pie in Donald Trump's face while calling him a lying, racist xenophobe is seen as a softball interview. And the bottom line is,
seen by journalists or is seen by commentators who don't like Donald Trump? Because it's a fascinating observation. Some of them, it is clear, think that you should, tackle him in a way that they wouldn't necessarily advocate for Hillary Clinton.
Howie, it's the new rules of journalism set forth by Jorge Ramos. Neutrality is not an option, he said. Quote, Judgment Day is coming for any journalists that don't go after Donald Trump. And he was applauded for that commentary by many commentators in the media, especially those on the left. So, yeah, that's how it's seen. If you're not hard on Trump and easy on Clinton, it's seen as an unfair interview.
How did we get to the point where that is, at least in some quarters of our profession, the accepted media wisdom that Trump is a dangerous demagogue and it's our mission to stop him, as opposed to let's be really hard and tough but fair to both nominees?
Because many in the media, led by the New York Times and their editor, say that, you know what, will say that we have to take out Trump for the good of the country. That they believe that neutrality is no longer an option because Donald Trump is a danger. And as a journalist, they feel that's their duty. They haven't read their job description if that's the result. And even Jimmy Fallon gets criticized, Howie. Right. He's an entertainer. He beat Kimmel and Colbert combined last week because he understands that it's all about entertainment. But because he wasn't hard on Trump, he's not a journalist, he got killed as well.
But I mentioned earlier in the program, Joe, that Samantha Bee and Kimmel a little bit, and Trevor Noah and others, Seth Meyers, are acting like journalists. They are infusing their comedy with a lot of anti-Trump serious stuff. Could they be alienating part of their audience?
They're alienating at least half their audience, you would argue. And again, if Fallon is such a success that he is because he's adopted the Johnny Carson rule, which is to be apolitical, go tough on both sides, and this way no one has a preconceived notion about your show before they watch it, that you're going to just be like Stephen Colbert, which his show is in a loop in terms of vitriol against Donald Trump on a daily basis. No longer funny, it's more like preaching, Howie.
Better to singe but not burn. Briefly before we go, NBC's Andrew Mitchell turned up in the hacked Colin Powell emails talking about Trump's nomination, how it would be awful. That's a private conversation. Does it raise any questions about Andrew Mitchell?
Well, obviously she's in the Hillary Clinton camp, and MSNBC
really... Why do you say that?
Why do I say that?
Yeah.
Because if you watch her reporting on a daily basis, it seems to be very pro-Clinton. And the fact that Andrea Mitchell...
She's also asked tough questions of Hillary Clinton.
Okay.
And this is a private email that shouldn't have been hacked, right?
Then, yes, of course. But Howie, she needs to speak up when MSNBC, the network, runs a promo with Hillary Clinton pointing her at a press conference saying, Andrea, you're my kind of girl. Andrea Mitchell should be stepping up and saying, don't portray me that way. I'm an objective journalist. You're making me look like I'm partisan.
No shortage of opinions here. Joe Concha.
Good to see you in person, Howie.
In person, indeed.